So this session, the revival of smart tech in a post-pandemic world, is sponsored by Grower, a global leading brand of bathroom solutions and kitchen fittings. So we'll be hearing from them a little bit later on, and we'll also be hearing from a number of other suppliers as well in our product, what pitches. Just to give a quick nod to the fact that the whole idea of Hotel Designs Live is to inspire conversations and to keep the industry connected and the conversation flowing during the COVID-19 crisis and beyond. That's really important. So we do have a hashtag, which is hashtag Hotel Designs Live. You can follow us on all our social medias at Hotel Designs, and we look forward to sort of reading your feedback. And really sort of the whole idea is to start conversations here, and we look forward to them, seeing them and hearing about them filter through the industry. So to kickstart our session on the revival of smart tech, we travelled to London Gatwick in order to see just how powerful technology's role in the post-pandemic world by checking into a completely contactless hotel. Here's how we got on. You may already be familiar with Block Hotels, but you almost certainly have not seen anything like Block Hotel Gatwick's recent renovation. Originally designed with early bird travellers in mind, everything about this 248-key hotel, from its room sizes right down to the fittings, has been designed and built around functionality. But aside from sheltering a comfortable bed within the terminal building, it's now what happens behind the scenes that makes this hotel truly unique. Following a complete tech overhaul, Block has been able to reimagine the consumer journey, and as a result has created a completely contactless hotel experience unlike any other. Not another app, I hear you say. Well, fear not, as this is as simple as opening a web browser. The rest is handled by a piece of software called Symbiote. Powered by class-leading technology from Crestron, the entire hotel is seamless and contactless from start to finish. Lift cool, light control, temperature adjustment, even controlling what's on the television is now controlled via your smartphone. Before we go into our final panel discussion on the revival of smart technology in the post-pandemic world, I've checked in, I've opened my web browser, it's time to put this tech hotel to the test. In our debut broadcast of Hotel Designs Live back in June, we heard from technology expert Jason Bradbury on whether or not the pandemic will provide a sort of catalyst for new technology products to emerge. Well, Crestron and Symbiote are prime examples of how technology can offer user-friendly, real-life solutions for tomorrow's travellers. And although injecting this much technology isn't going to be ideal for all hotels moving forward, it certainly begs the question as to whether our industry is utilising seamless technology with empathy to its full potential. With this case study in mind, let's now discuss the revival of smart technology in a post-pandemic world. So that video there, obviously courtesy of Technological Innovations Group and Crestron, as well as filmed and edited by Cube Video. So thank you for that. So let me introduce today's panel. In fact, let them introduce themselves. Fiona, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, I'm Fiona Thompson and I'm the principal at and International. We're hotel designers primarily in the sort of upper end of the market. Hospitality designers, I'd say, not just hotel.
Brilliant. Ari, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name's Ari Peralta from Origami, and we are a wellness and innovation and research studio helping hotels, architecture firms, and wellness brands evolve from transactional to transformational wellness.
Brilliant. And Teresa, all the way from the States?
Yes. It's Teresa from Viserio Studio. We have offices in New York and Paris, and we focus primarily on hospitality design. It's the upper end and luxury.
Brilliant. And finally, Ollie, in order to completely put context behind all of this, Ollie works for Symbiote. So Ollie, would you like to introduce yourself? Have we lost Ollie? Oh, we've lost Ollie. Ollie, are you there?
Yeah.
It's a dramatic pause. Ollie, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi guys, I'm Olivier Delaunoy. I'm the technology director for Symbiote. We specialize in the implementation of technology for hotels, any hotels, from high end to low end, and making the system as efficient as we could and as well suited for the end user as possible.
So brilliant. So before we sort of start asking questions to the floor, I just wanted to ask Ollie quickly, with that particular hotel case study, creating a contactless hotel, what were the main challenges?
I think the difficulty is always to make the process seamless and extremely fast. And the early stage we really struggle with gaining that speed and that efficiency, and also our platform doesn't rely on traditional app, and that comes with an enormous amount of challenge. But we worked with the operator to develop a seamless technology that is fast. Most things happen in a quarter of a second. The locks are a little bit slower, takes a second, and that is linked to all of the variables. So we incorporate the PMS, the locks, the TVs, the aircon, every single thing that can be integrated to our platform is integrated, and that includes plant rooms. Things that are not necessarily customer important, but are very important to the operator. Because you have to
absolutely, and it's also worth noting that although it's a very tech-driven hotel, it's all optional. You can actually just check in traditionally as well, which I think for me was a real plus, because I know that technology is not going to be for everyone, especially if they're coming off a long-haul flight, for example. But saying that, the technology is very, very easy to use, and the fact you don't have to download an app, it's all web-based, I think really lends in its favour. So brilliant. I mentioned in the VT about using technology with empathy to its potential. I'm going to ask Fiona first, because I know that we've had conversations about this in the past, but do you think we are currently using technology to its potential, and are we using it with empathy?
No, not to its potential, certainly within the hotel world. I think, especially in the upper end of the market, they're quite slow to take on technology, but I think we're in a transformative stage with technology, and I think there's lots of great things that can be achieved by the hotels using it a lot more. I think a number of them are starting to really understand guest needs and guess what they want, and the history of people and how they want to use space before they arrive. So I think the sort of personalization or hyper-personalization, obviously within the luxury sphere, is made much more easy, I guess, with the use of technology. I think it's just balancing that the technology with human interaction and getting it to be a sort of seamless, I guess, experience for people, so that it's an act for positive, and it makes people's experience and their whole stay much better than it would otherwise be, I guess. So it's giving operators and hotels a greater knowledge of what people are looking for, and so they can make the whole experience a little bit more seamless and, as I say, more personalized to people when they stay in hotels.
Totally, yeah. And yourself, and also Teresa, you work in the luxury design market, and that comes with its challenges when you integrate technology, because there's no space to be experimental and just sort of see if it will work, because the guests are obviously very demanding, but they don't want change that isn't going to benefit their hotel journey, I imagine. What are the challenges when you're injecting technology into luxury hotels? Teresa, maybe you can take this.
The challenge is when it doesn't work and you have guests that gets very upset because it doesn't work, yeah. Right? Which can happen quite frequently. The one thing that I think that when we did W Atlanta with the guest rooms and the Arthur spaces, like the lobby and the event and the lobby and public spaces and bars, and also when it came to like the guest rooms at Cosmopolitan, if we take those two kind of hotels, one is a much smaller hotel and the other one it's a 3,000 room hotel. So the one similarity that I noticed though is that both of them we integrated like kind of the artificial intelligence of their the apps that they could come in, or their pad, that they could kind of set up a profile. The profile was already there. So when the guest checked in, there is what they like, what they do, whether they are interested in arts, whether they're interested in different type of culinary experiences. There was information already for the guest to be able to find that in their room easily on
scary,
their
isn't
pad.
it? How,
So that
much information. Sorry, it's just, I'm just quickly adding, but it's kind of scary how much information hotels can have over their guests. And there's a real, when I say empathy, I really wanted to get that in there, because hoteliers and designers do have to be very empathetic and very, very cautious as to how quickly they evolve with technology.
Why would you want to be?
Exactly, yeah. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah. But then I also found that a lot of guests, they want to have also the interactive experience and not only go to whatever kind of smart tablet that's implemented into the guest rooms for their easy needs. But they also want to have this interactiveness in when they have a hotel experience. I mean, it's part of the hospitality industry, which hopefully it will still continue to be.
Yes, of course. Ari, from a research perspective, what research have you seen, probably more recently, in regards to technology and how it could potentially benefit a post-pandemic world?
There's a lot of exciting research happening, especially in brand and with strategic partners. But we're really seeing them divide in two categories. Optimizing hotel operations, which we've talked about today, but also improving guest experience, which was just spoken about now. We see some exciting partnerships and collaborations happening, like Alibaba and Flyzoo Hotel, Marriott International, which was just mentioned, and several of their smart projects, all the way to IHG, who's doing a lot of their research in-house. So we're seeing a lot of exciting evolution in terms of how research and experimentation and prototype is happening. And technology is making it more accessible for hoteliers and for designers, really, to capture the emotion or the set of qualitative aspects that we normally could only get from surveys. We're able now to capture them with a lot of new technology. So it's quite exciting.
Absolutely. And I think, that's it is all about that emotion, and it is all about working to enhance the consumer journey. I think that's really important to bear in mind. So Ollie, from a tech enthusiast perspective, have we reached our goal with technology? I doubt we have in your mind. And are we evolving with empathy generically as well, not just with the hotel that you've done recently with Block, but do you think that we are using technology with empathy currently?
I think it's a very important subject, actually. Empathy is very important. The way that the product is perceived and the product is managed, bearing in mind the end customer requirement, that being the person who stays in the bedroom and the person that manages the hotel as well. I think that software-wise, we are in a good place, and hardware-wise, things have evolved tremendously. So that means that implementation can be done in a very more straightforward way and less disturbing way. So you don't have to take an whole floor out for a month just to upgrade the systems in there. You can do that whilst the hotel is open and operating. In Block, when we did the implementation, we did it all without losing one bedroom sale, and the hotel was occupied at 96% when we did the implementation. So at the moment, I think the software and the way that the software is developed, with the use of microserver, the use of API, the use of cloud-based multiple server, is giving you completely different abilities, and you can have now 2 or 3 very good partners and really push out an experience to the customer that is quite unique and is very flowy. So the customer doesn't have to do anything. It is there for him. Should he choose to use it? Should he choose not to? He still has a great experience, because every switch works, everything works. You can choose to use technology or not use it. But we find in our testing with all of our customers that the uptake was around 65%. So while before 2-3 years ago it was 3%. And so you now really have customers that are a lot more aware of what they can do, And also the way you present the package technology has changed. And I think that is the great variation. But at this moment of time, you can do pretty much anything. There is no limitation to what can be achieved using the cloud-based products. You know, you have the digital lake now. You have a multitude of things that allow you to do things with your customer database that you could never hope to do before. And
Yeah,
so, you know,
absolutely.
there's a lot of great things around.
Because I'm intrigued. Was this renovation always planned pre-COVID, or was this a result of the lockdown?
No, actually, no, we were great. I mean, well, in the case of Block, we have other customers to speak about the Block, because that's what we demonstrate just before this meeting started. It was always an early adopter of technology, and all of the work was done. Well, we say 98% we tweaked it before the coronavirus. So in that sense, we've been very lucky. You know, we're very, very lucky. So we did all the work in the right way, and it worked perfectly, but it was not done for this purpose. It has been tweaked because, you know, the connection between things like the PMS, the management system from the hotel, and the technology in the hotel has to be greater. And so you have to involve yourself a lot more in this, but that is the only really rational tweak we've done to our system.
Interesting. I don't really like talking about yesterday or the past when we're talking in these panel discussions, but certainly when we're talking about technology, when we really should be focusing in the future. But I am just intrigued to understand what conversations you were all having in regards to technology before COVID-19 was even a thing. Teresa, maybe you can start, because I know that you've obviously worked with Marriott and a number of W hotels, and where technology is really at the core. So
yeah. So it's really interesting that you're mentioning it, because in the US, they're a little slower on certain aspect of the technology in the hotels compared to Europe, I must say. I can say that because I'm European, but I spent a lot of time in the US. So they're a little bit slower because, first of all, it's highly, it's very costly to implement new technology in renovation works in the US. So therefore, a lot of the new innovations are implemented in new construction. So we're working on a new construction now in Florida. And of course, we are now implementing the fact that you download an app when you check in, so you don't have to converse with a check-in person if you don't want to, or if you're coming in late, you can just go straight to your room. So those are kind of those are not news in itself. I mean, that technology has been around for a while. It's just that it's slowly getting integrated into the US market, I would say.
I think certainly in the hospitality market, there's a hesitation when anyone mentions technology, because 10 years ago, or even longer now, probably now, you know, there was this real wave of hotels just injecting tech for the sake of injecting tech. And it wasn't user-friendly. It wasn't, it didn't add anything to the consumer journey. Oh, go for it.
Yeah, I have a perfect example. We were working very large project in Vegas, and the technology was there to, you know, having the blinds closing, the draperies open, the toilet flush automatic, like, you know, when you were in the living room. But the thing is, what it wasn't user friendly. Like, you walk in and you have this like manual to go through what button works to it. In the end, people didn't people didn't use it. They go, can we go back to just manually pull our shades? Can we go back to not complicated toilet systems? And can we go back and just like simply open the door with a key card? Because it became too complicated, you know? And they changed quite a few things for them.
I think, Fiona, you as well are certainly an example of you know, being able to create incredible hotel interiors and that are really sort of engaging spaces and interesting spaces, but without utilizing technology just for the sake of it. What conversations were you having post-COVID around technology and injecting that into the luxury market, which is a real challenge, I do think? Fiona?
Can you hear me now? Sorry.
Oh, hello, Fiona.
Sorry.
You scared me.
say the use of technology has to be purposeful, and it has to be something that people benefit from and want to use, and the interface has to be easy to use. You know, we've all been in hotels where you have to use the telephone to open your curtains, and it's midnight when you check in, and you know that's just becomes frustrating and irritant rather than anything else. But I think nowadays that the technology means that it is fairly seamless. It can be very transformative in how you use a room. You can personalize a room, change your lighting, your air conditioning to a much greater degree than you ever used to. So I think all of those things have become the norm in luxury hotels. I think post-COVID, we're having discussions. I think the hotels are using technology and the digital world to still connect to their guests at the moment. So whilst you can't go and stay in hotels, you could the chef could come to your house, create a fabulous dinner, you can order, there's ways of still being part of the hotel or the brand without actually being able to go and stay there. So at the moment, they're looking to find ways of, making sure people are still part of their family, if you like, whilst they can't travel. That's augmented reality of showing people what they could do when they can, in all sorts of ways. So I think the big brands are really trying to connect with people in different ways. And I think using technology, nobody wants to talk to a bot where you go round and round circles and you can't actually find what you want. Whereas Four Seasons have this chat where you're actually talking to actual people who are answering your questions in real time, rather than a piece of technology where it's just giving you whatever you can read off the internet, which is frustrating. So I think digital is going to become much bigger. I've spoken for years about why do you have to check in at reception when you go on a plane and it's still first class and luxury. You can just choose your seat 3 months before you travel and get on. So all of those things I think will eventually translate down into the luxury market. And it doesn't mean that it's not luxury, it just gives people options. I think it's all about allowing people to use and do things that they want to do, how they want to do it.
So I'm intrigued, Fiona, because is it the restriction with the client that do they put up the barrier in regards to talking about technology and injecting technology into the hotels that you're working on, or is it a conscious decision from the design perspective? I know it's probably a bit of both, but what do you see more?
I think it's probably a lack of knowledge from the owners and developers potentially of what the opportunities might be. I think some of the operators are always somewhat reticent because they don't want to be the first to try something out, because as we mentioned, it can be very expensive to inject this level of technology into hotels. So I think it's that cautious thing that nobody wants to be the first to do it, and also not to do something that's just a gimmick. There are things out there which are a bit gimmicky, and great, it's fun to use writing on a shower screen once. Do I want to do it twice? Not really. I think it's trying to make sure that whatever's put into a room is thoughtful and interesting, and it has longevity, because it does cost money to do that. So I think it's just
you make a really good point with the costing, because actually it does cost a lot of money, and actually with everything within the hotel, technology is the one thing that's going to evolve time and time again, so, and it's going to evolve very quickly, so it will be very costly to then have to evolve that as well. So Ari, so we've kind of talked about the past enough. I don't like talking about the past. I like to look at the future and look at the glass half full. You're just embedded in all this research around technology and wellness specifically, and you're writing. You do this series for us, Hotel Designs Lab, which research-based pieces that offer genuine solutions, having spoken to like the industry's leading consultants in those fields. What is tech's role in the post-pandemic world, which is the whole question of this session, but I wonder if you've got an insight for us, Ari.
Tech is the glue. There's something really exciting happening right now, and it's that just like this panel, it's interdisciplinary. You're seeing technology, designers, and the business managers or hoteliers coming together in the same room, and that's where exciting things are happening. None of us have the answer alone, but when we combine our efforts and strategize together, we're really able to create products and services that are beyond the gimmick, that are beyond a token expert, and that are sustainable. We're seeing three factors really drive technology in hospitality design. One, it's just the digital transformation of technologies that's happening. And we're seeing a quick adoption now to new technologies by consumers. So consumers drive this. The second thing is also consumer-centric, and it's that they're moving beyond experiences. We're wanting now immersive and authentic experiences, not just experience for experience sake. Finally, wellness is mainstream now. Well-being, which is the outcome of wellness, is what we're all trying to focus on. And the fact that we can measure different aspects, the fact that we can capture certain architectural design features, the fact that we can now bring IT and technology out of the IT department and looking at how to use technology to improve services, to make it more convenient for clients, but also to improve staff training and some of the other elements that are crucial for the success of technology implementation in hospitality. We're really excited because besides that, companies after COVID, they're forced to innovate. We don't innovate for innovation's sake. That's just change. But when change isn't good enough, we have to innovate. And we have to think out of the box and even beyond the box. I think what's exciting is that a lot of these partnerships are all strategic cross collaborations. Innovation in hospitality is actually coming from other industries. So it's really exciting to see like-minded people here on this panel who are getting inspired from all these different innovations that are happening in app land, that are happening web-based, that are happening inside cars. And we're bringing this technology to hospitality. It's the new canvas.
Totally. So we've got one more question, then we're going to go into our product watch segment because our suppliers are waiting in the wings. And it's essentially our way to understand what the latest products and innovations are, which is absolutely essential in order to discuss this topic. But I'm just intrigued, have you guys noticed any innovations that you think are particularly suited to the post-pandemic world?
I would say, that to me, one thing that Ari mentioned, it is car technology has always been leaps in France, and in our case, we did an enormous amount of work with a car manufacturer to understand how the technology work. At one stage, we wanted to take everything in the car and put it in a hotel bedroom because the car does, a high-end car does everything the customer require in a very straightforward manner. And through that exercise, we ourselves learn, how to better, implement technology for our customers. And I think, the future actually is very good, and the future won't be all tech, all AI, all cloud-based. There will always be a need for human intervention. And I think the people that use that human involvement with the technology, the best will be the greatest success.
Yeah, of course. And after the Products Watch segment, we're going to really understand hygiene and technology, perhaps. So have a think about that, speakers. So it's now time to go to our Product Watch segment. We have 4 suppliers waiting in the wings. We're going to start with Grower. So bring Carl up. Hi, Carl. How are you?
Yeah, good, thanks. Well, first of all, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for having us part of today's event. My name's Carl Lennon. I'm the director responsible for A&D accounts across EMENA, and we're delighted to sponsor this session on smart tech. We pride ourselves here at Grower on such innovation. So what I'd like to do now is share with you a short video that shows the process from design to manufacture of our first 3D printed faucets, the 3D icon. So I hope you enjoy.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Carl. And next we have Hamilton Light Stats. So Gavin, you're there. Gavin, are you there? Hotel Designs to Gavin. Gavin, we'll give you...
Can you hear me now?
Yes, you're here.
Apologies.
Just testing us, it's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Gavin, your 2 minutes starts now.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody, and yeah, thanks for having me on this call today. Just wanted to give you a quick overview, really, of how Hamilton's electrical accessories and lighting control systems can basically bring technology to life in the projects that you guys work on. So at Hamilton, we have a vast range of decorative accessories, both in terms of fashion, design, colour, whether you need an antique brass LED dimmer or an ultra-modern Type-C USB socket. We really do have the most current technologies available. And if you've got a lighting control systems, they're very simple, effective systems that can come, off the shelf configurated to your project, or we can custom build them to your project. Next slide, please. So what we have here is a recently completed project. This is the Wolfside Inn in Bray. And as you can see from the photos here, the client had some stunning and colourful wallpaper fitted throughout the bedrooms. And they really didn't want a range of kind of metal, stainless steel sockets and switches installed that, would compromise the design. So what we did with the client, we looked at all our ranges, and we came up with the Perception range, which is basically a clear acrylic accessory that allows the wallpaper or the painted finish to live through that socket and switch, not upsetting the design of the project. And although it gives a more traditional look, the client still needed technology throughout those hotel rooms. So all the sockets throughout the rooms had USB charging capability. Next slide, please. At Danesfield House in Marlow, the owners wanted a bit more wow from their systems. So with each of the rooms, they were able to control the LED downlights, picture lights and lamps. And they had pre-programmed mood settings, which gave DMX control throughout. So a simple press of the button allowed the system to run through the colours of the rainbow, obviously enhancing the guest experience. Next slide, please. Obviously very short overview, so I can't go through a lot of detail, but if you need to find out any more information, please go to our social media channels, our brand new website, look at case studies. We've got the London showroom, come along and talk to any of our experts. Thanks very much.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Gavin. I just wanted to go quickly back to Grower. I personally think it's a really incredible and great thing, the fact that Grower, and when you talk about technology, it's not necessarily just in regards to gadgets, but actually in regards to how the product's made as well with that 3D technology. So absolute kudos there. And also with Hamilton, we've worked with Hamilton for years and years and years. They've supported us all the way through. And recently, I absolutely love the Waterside in Bray, and I love what you've done in order to really hide technology within that. So up next, we have Aquilisa. So we have Colin.
Good afternoon. Yes, I'm here. Everybody
Brilliant.
can hear me.
2 minutes starts now.
Thank you very much, Hamish. So good afternoon. My name is Colin Sinclair, and on behalf of Aquilisa Showers, I'm delighted to give you a short introduction to Quartz Touch, which is the first truly smart shower. The world of hospitality, we've been hearing all day, is constantly evolving, but very occasionally, a new development will significantly accelerate the pace of that change. And right now, mobile first generations are seeking more control in their lives. Convenience and personalization, as we've been hearing, are increasingly important, and a surge in smart home technology is being unlocked by the use of the smartphone and tablets. So the introduction of the first voice-activated smart shower and bath fill solution will completely change the hotel bathroom experience. Alexa, turn on my shower, or Hey Google, start my shower, will be heard more and more as hotels focus on private in-room rather than communal areas to drive their customer engagement. From a simple hotel app, guests can now enjoy a unique showering experience with their personal choice of temperature, the flow, which outlet, and the running time of their shower. We heard just now from Fiona about a seamless guest experience. Well, Quartz Touch from Aquilisa paves that way for intelligent data to create a showering and bathing profile for every guest that can be preset on arrival and further enable the hotel's relationship with technology. Guest experiences are rooted in environmental insensitivity, and so Quartz Touch, as all smart showers, can monitor and manage water usage and cost.
And that's your 2 minutes, Colin.
Thanks.
We started working with Aquilisa last year, and it's also worth noting, and correct me if I'm wrong, Colin, but you guys were the first digital shower to launch Is that correct?
Yes, a long time ago now, Aqualisa introduced the digital shower nearly 20 years ago. But of course,
Great,
that
yeah.
digital expertise has enabled us to come forward with now what is a genuinely smart shower.
And so much research that's gone into that product that launched recently as well. So,
Yes, thank you.
And finally, we have our friend Christoph from Technological Innovations Group. Christoph, we're in your London home.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for your warm welcome. We have seen TIG provide solutions like hyper-personalized experiences to guests and automation of the entire guest-facing processes from booking to checkout. But we know that first impressions are everything. So I want to explain you today that we have a lot of services and technologies to provide a warm welcome in your hotel, for example. And from my point of view, the most important is the background music. Background music is everywhere. You can use background music to energize, soothe, and create a welcoming atmosphere. But not only that, music also develops guest loyalty by creating a sense of familiarity with your hotel. When you hear specific songs that transport you back to a place, a time, or a feeling, for example, enjoying a morning coffee on the terrace or having a great workout at the hotel gym. TIG has the whole range of solutions for multiple zones with different sounds for different spaces, amplifier, multi-room audio, speakers, audio processors, audio extender, and of course, all the possibilities to broadcast the signal to the speakers. We have also for personally controlled music in the guest room from the hotel playlist on the Bluetooth connection if the guest wants to play his own playlist in the room. So to say, we have everything to provide a perfect atmosphere, and we have to bear in mind that TIG is promoting technology in the hotel industry, but always with a human touch and to deliver pleasure first and staff efficiency.
So that concludes our product watch pitch. Thank you so much to our suppliers, and thank you Grower for sponsoring this session. We're now going to go back to the session with our speakers. Are our speakers there? Someone's phone's going off.
Sorry.
Are you eating, Gavin? Okay, so let's get our speakers back on. Have we got Fiona, Christoph, Teresa, and Ollie, and Ari?
Yes. We're
back on. Brilliant. Okay, so there's one more. Well, so there's a question that's come in from Juravit, which is not a product watch pitch partner, but certainly a partner for Hotel Designs Live. And that is quite specific in regards to the products that they're talking about. But hygiene is important in the current environment, and also it will be in the foreseeable future. That much is a given. But does this now mean that products such as the shower toilets, does everyone know about the shower toilets? They can still be used with little need for sensory touch. And do you think that they'll become standardized items going forward? What do we think about the shower toilets? Does everyone know what we're talking about when we're talking about them? Sorry to take this conversation into the gutter, but you know, Hotel Designs, it does very much incorporate the toilet. Fiona, you work on projects all over the world.
Yeah, and they are, I think they're becoming quite mainstream, yes, in hotels. We use them quite a lot. I think there's, you know, apart from anything else, it's space, so you don't have to have a bidet and a toilet. And I think they are regarded as a luxury item. Personally, I still have slight reservations about them, I have to say, but they are becoming quite mainstream. You know, they've moved out to the Japanese market and are used internationally, yeah, for sure. And we're using them more and more.
Totally. Brilliant. I think you've summed that up perfectly. So this is a question for everyone, really. So how do we feel about Alexa, turn on my shower, as we heard from Aqualisa? Do you think that's going to be something that we see in the future? Teresa?
For when I'm thinking about this Aqualisa, I'm thinking it also as an environmentally educated app that you can use, because people take very long showers, right? And it would be interesting to use it as a say if you take a shower for this long. And then maybe Alexa says that, or Aqualisa's app, right? Let you know that you, my guest, are now using X amount of gallon of water, and this is how it's going to affect the environment. If you stay in between 2 and 5 minutes, that's the ideal. What like educational is interesting, but educational when it just comes like seamless, because people
I agree. It's such a nice idea.
Yeah, because the technology shouldn't only be about service. The technology should help improve the environment in one way or another. It should be like that kind of integrated, cohesive kind of collaboration of all different kind of areas, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that, you know, Alexa is there to stay, and other similar product, and I think that, you know, it's not that complex having it or not having it these days. You know, it's made to be very user friendly. So if you want Alexa, have Alexa. If you want, you know, Siri, have Siri. Have anything you like. You know, that is not a complexity. It is customer centric, and I think, you know, if you give the customer to use it, you can then monitor the usage and decide if it's something you want to keep or not. I think it's there to stay. You know, I've gone full circle into which at one stage, you know, I was control everything using voice, and now I'm back into switches. So you know.
Well, I think also a few years ago, when tech was just being injected into the hotel experience for the sake of it, you know, it was quite clunky to include, you know, technology that didn't necessarily serve a purpose and was just seen as quite gimmicky. Whereas now, with software like Symbiote and other brands as well, you know, it's really seamless, and it actually just becomes part of the guest experience. And as we saw in the case study, it makes it that much more interesting when that is truly down to the individual checking in whether they choose to use that technology or not. And I think, considering we're all designing spaces or working on research around hotels that are absolutely catered for a mass market or a mass audience, we can't therefore, you know, just have one solution that fits all. So yeah, it's interesting. So let's talk about hyper-personalization. I know we have touched upon this, but do you think the time will come where guests are really designing and curating their own experience within the hotel before they've even checked in?
Yeah, I think that, you know, more and more now we see through our customer that the requirement changes. In the beginning, you know, we were offering a service when the customers checked in. Now you have a greater requirement for services before the customer checks in. So, you know, in the morning you receive your email, and now welcome, you're going to be there later. You press on this, you can control your room. Now you can get a route to your hotel. You can ask questions on your way. You can do all of these things. And I definitely believe that is the requirement of the future. It will not be an experience when you arrive at the hotel. It'll be an experience before you arrive at the hotel, all the way through to when you leave the hotel. And maybe after, if you want to as well. You know, the systems are limitless. You can do anything you like. I mean, and AI. I know we talked about AI in the past. Multiple AI, I think, is the future. So 2 or 3 different AI on the same platform can result in a far greater result. If you use only one, it never works. So you have to use it in conjunction to create the best possible lifelike result for what you're trying to achieve. And so there's a multitude of development and things. 5G is going to again bring a new level to communication with your hardware and your software. So that's going to be great news. And also, let's not forget that everything we're talking about is a lot bandwidth savvy. So and in a lot of places in England, bandwidth is not that great. You know, even in an hotel of 230 bedroom with full retention, if you don't have super duper fiber, 5 of them, you have a very slow service if everybody's watching a movie at the same time. And Alexa doesn't work as well, because you ask her questions, she has to speak to the server, and the server has to be accessed. If everybody asks Alexa at the same time a question, that will affect your bandwidth. Bandwidth is very important, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And so back to hyper-personalization, Fiona, I'm just quite intrigued, the consumers you're designing for when it comes to hotels.
Yeah.
Do you think they're concerned about hyper-personalization and data, you know, being stored
I think there's always the concern about data being stored and the whole GDPR, but I think more and more people are using technology in every aspect of their life. So there's an understanding that there's a level of security there. And I think in the luxury market and in the hotel market generally, there's a confidence to a certain degree in the security systems, etc. in hotels. And people do want to personalize their stay. I think prior to, as Oliver said, before, during and after, they want to be able to, mold and articulate how they stay, what they want to do when they stay, what happens to them. And it also gives the opportunity for hotels to preempt what they might like and, give nice little unexpected surprises to guests, which are very personal, but which, they may not necessarily be expecting. I think that sort of reinforces that connection, I suppose, with brands and with hotels and with destinations. So I think it's becoming a very big, a major part of why people choose a particular place or destination to stay. Absolutely.
Totally. I think it's really interesting how, in like the traditional luxury sense, if you had your initials stitched onto the pillow, that's like a personalized moment, and it's something that you really capture and really remember. And it's interesting now that technology has unlocked lifestyle hotels and hotels that are less catered towards the luxury market to also offer that personalization in other ways, obviously. But I've got in mind one case study, which is W London. So when they check in, their guests their front of house staff are basically trained to just understand what kind of mood that individual's in, and they can essentially change the lighting scheme, change the music to hopefully evoke a more positive mood if it's a bad mood, and stuff like that, which I think goes beyond a gimmick, and actually, as Ari was mentioning earlier, and everyone sort of mentioned in various different ways, but very much lends itself into I don't know, like evoking wellness. I think that's really important in all of this.
It's improving the whole experience of wherever you are and whatever you're doing, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I want to add to that point, Hamish. Right now we are not just evolving the technology, but also our definition of what a hotel is. And our clients at Marriott International, their CEO Arnie said last year, we're no longer a hotel company, we're a travel company. And I think that has such a significance because we're looking at the entire guest journey, which is pre-stay, hotel stay, and post-stay. And there's a lot of touch points there. And when we're talking about hyper-personalization, it's a slippery slope because we're using that term quite a lot in different industries, but we're far from it. We're just now starting the first elements of personalization. When it will become hyper-personalized is when we can actually create integrated, seamless technology that it improves the experience, not just at one touch point, but evolves with the client, with the guest. I think that's what's really exciting now with a lot of the research that we're doing. We're helping brands understand personality. We're helping brands understand mood and other things that will lead to sensory profiling. And this sensory profiling is going to change everything because we have our preferences. Those preferences change over time, but if we can grow together with our guests, I think that's a wonderful trajectory towards the future.
Absolutely. And it kind of, go on.
I have that I want to say about that because the brands has over the years evolved into more and more brands to capture a different type of individual needs, right? Like there is a reason why a millennia wants to check in on a Citizen M or one of a Canopy or whatever it might be. And then there is a reason why a person in the 50s, 60s prefer to maybe stay in the Four Seasons, or it's a personality. And what the brand has done very cleverly, they have targeted, they have used our intelligence and targeted these different kind of needs and created different brands for that, because a millennial doesn't want to do what a Four Season guest.
No, I agree. I think Starwood were the leading force in that when they created all those different brands. And we all work in the industry. We know that they're all under the same umbrella, or were under the same umbrella now, obviously with Marriott. But I think actually the consumer didn't know that they were checking into a Starwood hotel. They felt as if they were checking into a W. They felt as if they were checking into a loft. And then when you think about how clever that was, they managed to capture all these different segments and different markets. And I think that's been replicated time and time again in the future and evolved as well, which is, of course, that's a great point. I want to talk about lighting and sound. Ari will know that we are talking about lighting and sound a lot at the moment. What do you feel, what are their roles in the post-pandemic world? Ari,
So
maybe you can start so we can understand the research that's gone into some of this.
the role is the same role it had before. Now, the value we see in it, that's what's changing. Lighting and sound and other sensory elements really complete memory, complete our experience, are what provides us that emotional connection to things. Lighting in particular, we're seeing a shift into circadian lighting. In other words, following the actual natural sun moon cycle, if you will, day-night cycle. And that's going to be really interesting. When we worked with Marriott looking at jet lag and how to improve touch points with jet lag, we really discovered a whole lot that we didn't know with light. And then with sound, we're evolving, as you know, from our hotel designs lab article on sound with Tom Middleton and some other amazing sound experts. We're no longer just creating playlists. We've evolved from that, right? And where we're at right now is how do we evolve from soundscapes to actual sounds that improve the experience? And what do I mean by improving the experience? It can be a sound to calm people down. It can be a sound to increase the energy in the room. It can be a sound to increase the flavor of a product, of a meal in a restaurant. So I think, you know, we're now exploring these things as an open palette to really have fun sensory-wise. And with technology, it just helps us amplify it, you know, because you can say you have this kind of sound that's produced, but unless you have binaural sound, the different types of systems, organizing it by zones, we're now seeing some brands even explore how to mask sound. So it's really, really exciting on the sensory end, what we can do with smell, what we can do with lighting, what we can do with sound. Now, Hamish, where we are stepping it up is that it's no longer a checklist. Just like with technology, we can't approach things on a checklist mentality because life is not linear. Life is holistic, it's comprehensive. And that's where we're now integrating the different sensory design elements, getting these different sensory designers in the same space, talking about it, measuring it, and really validating on our end with research, does it cause the effect we're looking? Does it actually create change?
I think by the sounds of it, you really tick that meaningful box that Fiona was talking about earlier. And there's another case study that I was hearing about recently, which is the Six Senses in London. So EPR architects are tasked with other designers as well to bring that concept into London. So they're bringing it into the urban environment. It's a very much known as a wellness brand. So how do you do that? And a lot of the solutions are actually coming from sound. But I'm kind of interested from your perspective, Fiona, from a hospitality perspective. You also work in cruise ships. Have you integrated sound in any of the designs within those areas?
Yeah, I think the cruise market, probably because there's a lot more entertainment, I guess, than you would necessarily get into a hotel. Certainly the level of technology that's put into spaces is probably much greater than in a hotel, because you're actually creating, you know, theatre environments which have to compete with, you know, a standalone environments in the real world or in the actual on land. So I think the level of technology is much greater. They work with you know, specialist companies, which hotels, I think, you know, there's a great thing in a hotel where, you know, when you do entertainment spaces, you make sure that there's flexibility, you get lighting in, you put racks in, your AC is good, you put lots of sockets, but they don't necessarily go much beyond that. And I think in the cruise world, they're trying to create a true environment, whether it's a theatrical environment, a music venue, whatever. So they work with companies that specialize in that, production companies and music companies, etc. So I think the level of tech that goes in is much greater, in fact, because the end product has to be, you know, so much better. And I think it's starting to leak into hotels. I think, you know, depending on where you are in the world, what type of property it is, you know, resorts and urban are very different to each other, but certainly music, people, I think, you know, the way we live, our music, our media, our film is such a big part of who we are, and it's so important that people want to be able to experience all of those things when you're away and hear it well and all the rest of it. So I think, you know, within the hotel world, whether it's in guest rooms or public spaces, it's becoming far more important. And it's a driver, you know, for why people want to stay in places.
Is
For
it,
sure.
perhaps we can go on to the gallery view just so that we can get everyone's perceptions, but is it fair to say that we feel as if sound is arguably the next thing in technology that's going to really be quite interesting to watch evolve?
This is gonna be
I
interesting.
think it already is. I mean, look at
Yeah.
Alexa, right? It's voice activated technology. So that's just the beginning. But for sure, I think sound represents the next wave of technology in and out of the hotel.
Yeah, of course. Ollie, were you going to say something?
It
Oh, sorry,
impacts the
Fiona.
way you feel about space to such a degree as, you know, it influences your mood, it changes how you feel about things. So inevitably, along with whether it's light or smell or any of those sensory, it has such a major impact on how a space and how a building.
I completely agree with you, Fiona. And also, I feel as if we've talked about hyper-personalization, where the guest is in control of how they feel, but there's also, you really need to create those subconscious moments for the guest as well, because they do want to be taken on a journey, and that sound and lighting sourced sensibly and cleverly can absolutely do that. Ollie, were you going to say something?
No, I think, you know, there's a few angles, you know. About sound is the comfort sound, and it's also the sound that is attached to the customer. And we find that there's a great requirement for somebody to be able to play their own sound list, you know, what they got on their phone, to watch what they want to watch. And we do a lot of research and work in this direction, because it is often a requirement. You know, sadly, there's again, it's bandwidth issue. If you have you know, 250 people streaming Netflix at the same time, it can cause a depletion of signal. But again, with Netflix now, they have technology that modulate the bandwidth. So if it's a big demand, they focus on the key subject, and the bandwidth demand is a lot lesser. So you know, the technology is evolving, and I think that it would be, as Ari said, you know, technology for the well-being of the customer, sound-wise, but you will also see the technology that is associated to that customer, and I think that is very important for the customer. I like to play Elvis in my room in the order that I like them to be played, and I think it's important for the customer device to be able to connect to the room and, you know, make the environment the way you want it to be.
I almost think that technology has kind of taught us to go back to our basic roots, which is light, sound, smell, taste, all of those sensory things that we actually have inside of us, that we, on our way to being in a very fast society, we kind of forget. And with the technology's help, it's kind of bringing us back to what we already knew. In a way, we do have it there, it's subconscious, but technology brings it back up to surface again, I believe.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm afraid we have run out of time. Thank you so much to all of our speakers, to Ollie, Ari, Fiona, and Teresa for joining us. Thank you to all of our Product Watch partners and Grower for sponsoring the session. It's been a real pleasure hosting Hotel Designs Live, and I really hope that we have put under the spotlight some relevant topics that have started some interesting conversations. Please feel free to continue the conversation with the hashtag Hotel Designs Live. And just a really quick nod to the fact that our BritList Awards is happening next month. We are unveiling the winners virtually this year because of obviously the current scenario. But if you want to secure tickets free of charge, then head over to the website, click on the events tab, scroll down to the BritList, and you can participate that way. It will take place on November the 12th at 2 p.m. Thank you so much to everyone who's been involved in Hotel Designs Live, especially Technological Innovations Group and Crestron for allowing us to use this incredibly immersive space. Actually, if you want more information about that, head over to their website. And also to our incredible videography team, Cube Video, who have been absolutely incredible, ensuring that the camera angle is all right and that everything is smoothly running. We will be back in the new year with our next Hotel Designs Live. Look out for the dates, and I look forward to seeing you soon. My name's Hamish Kilburn. I'm the editor of Hotel Designs, and I'll see you later.